There's the new book, Tales from the Oakland Raiders Sideline. And it's not really a new book, Tom Flores. It's and you can see down there Tom Flores with Matt Fulks and forward by Jim Plunkett. It's not really a new book per se, but we did do a new introduction for it. Some things happened. I guess we wrote that almost 10 years ago, I guess.
Yeah, I wrote it about 10 years ago and had fun doing it because they're just remembrances of people in my life, not just Raiders, including Hank Stram and other people that I've played for, played with. It's fun, the remembrances, the memories, and the sadness in losing some of these people in recent years, and that's where we've updated the book.
Well, I want to talk about three of them, and we'll do them in alphabetical order, which turns out to be somewhat order of importance in some ways in Raiders lore. But just if I could just get a couple of your memories on these guys, starting with George Blanda.
Well, Blanda was probably one, if not the most competitive guy I've ever been around. I mean, he was competitive playing gin rummy, poker, and golf, and he'd get angry, boy, with you if you didn't keep up with him, if you were his partner, and obviously the football field. And even when he got cut or retired, or both, he still thought he could play, and he was 48 years old or 49 at the time, and he still was angry because of it. But I got to know him a lot better through the years. We used to have dinner in the desert when he lived there in the springtime, and he mellowed a little bit, not a lot, but a little bit, yeah. But he was a great competitor.
And then Ben Davidson.
Well, Ben was a late bloomer kind of guy. We got him. He had been cut by Green Bay and Washington, and we were the Young American Football League, and he came in just gawky, tall, skinny guy that was just starting to become a decent football player, and ended up being a real good football player and a terror on the field, and obviously not liked too much in Kansas City, but he was a good guy. He was really a good guy, and a true friend and a true professional, and he never turned down a charity event, never.
Well, and you mentioned his the dislike that Chiefs fans have for him, and one of the most famous plays really in Chiefs history. And I'm trying to remember, were you with the Chiefs at that time?
Well, I was with the Chiefs, and we were on the same side of the field, and I was getting cussed out by my old friends that were right there. They were just next to me on the field, and I remember when that happened, because that play we would have won the game, and that would have put us in the playoffs. And instead, because of Ben Davidson's illegal hit, and they changed the rules since then. Today that would have been that we would have still had to play, but because of the ruling on the field, we had to replay, and then they ended up getting the ball back and tying us, and then that kept us out of the playoffs that year. So that was a big play for us.
Although I have to admit that when we were working on this book and I talked with Ben Davidson, one of the nicest guys you'd want to, I mean, funny, just loved talking, and a great storyteller.
Great storyteller, had that raspy old voice, and it got raspier as the years went on, and it wasn't that bad. I think he got hit across the throat once in his early career, and that's how it became so raspy. But it was a very recognizable voice, and he had that mustache that he developed when he came with us, and because he was clean shaven when he came to us. Yeah, you didn't, and nobody remembers that part of it, but I do, because I was there when he first showed up, and all of a sudden he had a personality, and plus he could play, and he had a long career, and then he was perfect for what he did on TV, and with the taste, whatever that was.
Well, and then one person we spent quite a bit of time, and rightfully so, writing about here in this was Al Davis, somebody that you probably knew him almost as well as anybody else, and just it doesn't seem like the old Raiders when we don't see Al in his white jumpsuit up in the press box.
Yeah, you don't see him on the sideline before the game, and he was a unique individual. I mean, he was the ultimate micromanager because he did it all. You know, from the socks and jock straps to the signing the #1 guy in the draft, and he had his finger in everything. And he diminished a little bit in the later years, and it's kind of funny still when you don't see him on the plane when I travel with the team. You don't see him on the sideline. You don't see him up in the owner's box, and it's a little strange without him. But his shadow's still there. I mean, his son is involved, and his wife is still around, and Carol. But there'll never be another one like him.
Well, and a lot of people forget that he was everything from coach to GM to owner eventually.
Well, and commissioner. He was commissioner of the American Football League for 2 months and forced the merger by some of the things that he did. And he went after the quarterbacks and started signing them. And all of a sudden, the NFL got a little nervous. And then he did not want to give in. He wanted more. But the owners of the AFL teams that were behind it, you know, Lamar Hunt being one of them, they decided to end the battle and settled. And Al always felt that we didn't have to pay that kind of money to the old NFL guys, but it worked out in the long run.
What was it about the AFL at the time that I mean, it appealed to a lot of players, obviously, and we had a lot here in Kansas City that they could have gone NFL or AFL, and you guys did too in Oakland. But what was it about the AFL that appealed to guys, do you think?
Well, I think some of it was the challenges. The money was good. The money was equal to the NFL, and in some cases, like Billy Cannon, he made more money by signing with Houston in the original years. And then for some players that did not get a second chance in the NFL, it was a chance, like Lenny Dawson. It was a chance in a new league, up and coming league, which came fast, and who would have thought that we would be where we are today? But in those days, there were only like 10 NFL teams, and then they went to 12. There were 8 AFL teams, so you know now there are 32, and with bigger rosters. So there were plenty of players to play that didn't get the chance, and so I think some of them saw this opportunity, and some of them wanted to stay close to home, and I don't know, it's just interesting. And there was a lot of excitement in the AFL. AFL was a real tight club. It was a wide open football, and then eventually the NFL kind of went that way too. So we didn't want to give up our identity. Those of us that played the entire 10 years of the AFL, and there were only 20 of us that lasted, never wanted, and even those that only played 1 or 2 years, always wanted to keep the AFL and not just become the NFL. But now we're the AFC, I guess.
Well, and we mentioned some of your friends from the Chiefs, and you know a lot of people might not remember that. Well, I'll put it this way: when somebody knows I'm from Kansas City and says, you know, how can you do a Raiders book? I say, you know, besides Tom being a great guy, he also is a former Chiefs player. A lot of people might not remember that.
Well, they don't. Yeah, I came here in '69, and I was here for '69 and '70, and part of the Super Bowl team. And I threw 1 pass, 1 completion, 1 touchdown. Lenny was the #1 guy, and rightfully so. I came here because he got hurt, so I came in as a backup while he was down. Mike Livingston, as a rookie, did a nice job, and we went all the way. So you know, I'm an AFL guy though. I'm an AFL guy, and when I came to Kansas City, it was like walking into a club that I belonged to. With all the guys that we had a great bunch of characters, great bunch of great players, and a really very close knit group. And I always call it the AFL was a family.
Well, and if I could just get you to talk about Hank Stram for a second, and we were talking before recording this about the Super Bowl and matriculating down the field, and just his antics that the players will say now. We didn't know that NFL Films was recording. We didn't know he was mic'd that day, but you were staying right there with him pretty much the whole game, weren't you?
Well, I was on the phones and talking to the coaches upstairs, and I was always close to Hank because if he needed to ask a question or whatever, I needed to be close to him. But this particular game, he was more active than he ever been. He was up and down the sidelines, and usually he stood right around this one area. But now he's up and down, and he's talking, and they didn't have the cordless phones in those days, so I'm trying to walk, and I've got the phone, and I'm pulling the cord, and cord's getting tangled up in feet, and he's going, I'm over here, and then he's over here, so I'm back and forth. I finally just said, I'm going to stay right here, and he'll be back. And then once the game was over, and once we saw the film of the game with him, Mike, then all of that made sense, because I said, well, I'll be there. That's why he was so animated.
Well, and one other person, as we look at the cover of the book, and I'll show it to you again, it's the Tales from the Oakland Raiders Sidelines. Another guy who played for both Kansas City and Oakland, well, I guess Kansas City, Oakland, L.A. in his case, Marcus Allen, and you had a chance to coach Marcus for a few years.
Coach Marcus, drafted him as a rookie, coached him, a great player, a great person, a tough guy. He's probably, I always say, he's the most complete back I've ever coached, because he could do it all: block, tackle when he had to, play defense if he had to, throw the ball, run the ball, catch the ball, and we used him for everything. And he played hurt. He was a tough guy. So he's one of my favorite players of all time, and it's kind of interesting that he started his career with the Raiders and ended with Kansas City. And I started mine with the Raiders and ended with Kansas City. So we both have fond memories of Kansas City.
And one's in the Hall of Fame, and one should be in the Hall of Fame. And I've said that for years, and I'll keep saying it until you're in the Hall of Fame. But thanks for doing this. Obviously, the Raiders are in town. The Chiefs are struggling, and we don't need to talk about the Chiefs season too much.
Well, they're healthy for the first time, so you always throw the records out whenever the Raiders come to town. I mean, a sea of red will be there. They'll be booing us and cheering us at the same time, and it's a great rivalry that goes back, I don't know, 150 some games, I think. Yeah.
Well, and last question, even though you don't live in the Oakland, San Francisco area right now, World Series going on, a little excitement in San Francisco. The Giants, as we record this, up 2-0. It's in Detroit for the first game tonight, but you're a baseball fan as well. Any predictions on this?
Well, no. I mean, I think the Giants are a unique team, and that this is the second time they've done this. They did this 2 years ago, came back from the middle of the pack at the end of the year and played their best baseball at the end of the year. And these first 2 games were almost perfect games. I mean, I don't know. I can't think of one mistake that they made in the first 2 games. So they're going to be cold in Detroit. Baseball should be over. I mean, it should be over. I mean, we're in wintertime now. It's cold outside.
Especially here, especially Detroit, yeah.
Yep, it's cold. But the Giants will be hard to overtake right now at this point, because 2 up right now, and if Detroit can win 1, or maybe I don't know if they can win more than 1 more.
We'll see. Well, Tom, it's always great seeing you, and you look great, look healthy, look happy, and I guess people can find you online, listen to Raiders games, or they can get Tales from the Oakland Raiders Sideline.
Yeah, we're on Sirius Radio. They have the whole NFL package on Sirius Radio, so they can listen to our games. We're nationwide on Compass Radio, and in the book, it's a fun book. It was a fun book to do with you, and they are that, Tales of the Raiders, just tales of people. Even Mark Davis is in there, the son of Al, and Al's in there, and Hank Stram's in there, and on and on.